All right, Nessa, first you, then the franchise. But how did you accidentally fall into franchising? What's your franchise backstory?
So about 24 years ago, I started with my first franchise, and it was purely accidental. My background was in international studies and business, and it was an international franchise. Most of their franchisees or the franchise candidates that they were working with were in other countries. So I was attracted to working for them, and that's how I started about 24 years ago.
What along this pathway, what have been some of the learnings or things that have surprised you or excited you about franchising?
I think what's exciting about franchising is just the people, right? From both sides, the franchisor as well as the franchise candidates. I've just loved working with people from really all over the world, a lot of immigrants, but also people who have spent really legacy businesses here and tried to get into franchising and created legacy franchising businesses for their family. So it's about the people always.
So international relations into franchise sales. Do you identify as a salesperson now after doing this for so long? Or are you still like, is it like, because relations, I mean, technically the what you were studying, the relation part in my opinion is more valuable than sales.
It is. I have never seen myself as a salesperson. I don't think I ever could. I think I'm just a guide to walk people through an investigation process, see if it's a match. And I think a lot of people who are in the franchise world sometimes believe like it's about the deal and the sales. And at the end of the day, it's genuinely a partnership between the franchisor and that franchisee to see if they can reach both of their goals. So I see that more than anything. And I don't even like the word sales because it just has a different type of an image. And I don't particularly like that image. I like to be more of a person that's just ushering people through a process. If it's not a fit, there's another franchisor that is, or maybe franchising isn't for them at all.
I have two comments on that. One, love that you said that. I think, unfortunately, in the industry that we're in, brands, CEOs, boards, they over-index on the sale, meaning let's go sell more franchisees or award. If they're being kind, they use the term award. Let's award more franchise units. Whereas if they over-indexed on the success or the potential success of a franchisee, they would quickly understand that not all franchisees are created equal. Now, to your position, you're probably measured on how many deals do you push through into the system. But I would rather look at it and say, well, look at the number of deals that got pushed through that expectations were met, which means they scaled their business, which means they created more royalty stream for the business, and they were happier because they were able to hit their goals. And so I like that you said that, because I do think that's one of the biggest misses in franchise growth is we over-index on the sale, not necessarily on the partnership, because if a franchisee makes more money, that's ultimately where a franchisor is going to make more money. Thoughts?
I agree. I think that if you do it right and you're focused on your people, you're focused on your culture, you're focused on who your candidates are, and it isn't just about selling a franchise or hitting those numbers, your numbers are automatically just going to organically come because you just have built a culture around that. Yes, I've been in franchise development and I've been successful because I've been honest and I've picked franchisors that I feel are ethical. I've been a franchisee as well for 9 years in the 24 years and can understand the plight and the hardship and the struggle, especially with an earlier brand or just a brand that didn't have over 100 franchisees. So I understand it from both angles. And I think it just, again, organically happens if you set it up right and you create that culture within as well as outside.
Do you see yourself ever becoming a franchisee again?
Not sure. I mean, I think I'd have to find the right franchisor to connect with, and that's hard. And that's why I'm very proud to represent the Glass Guru. I found out about it, and it's just a nice transition into why I'm here. And I found out about it through a colleague that I'd worked with for about 10 years. He was in franchising for 25 years and had decided to purchase a Glass Guru. And I was surprised. I wanted to know why and dug in and realized that there were so many important important nuggets that I believed in and could stand by to really promote a brand that believed in their people as well as their culture and were ethical in every way. I'm not saying other franchisors are not. It's just that I feel very good about the Glass Guru and what they've created. They've been around for 17 years, have just now worked through or have connected to different broker groups and coach groups. And so I feel like it's one of the best secrets out there.
Yeah, it's interesting because what I just heard is culture and support. And it's hard because for most franchisors, including the Glass Guru, like to the outside world, it's hard to necessarily portray that story because we default to buy my franchise. And so for a candidate, they have to somehow cut through and say, wow, there's something special. You were able to do that because you knew someone that bought into the business. That gave you an insight, that gave you comfort in going from franchisee to franchisor. But it's hard because that message, it is a hard message to get across. Sometimes it can be done in like a podcast like this where someone can actually see that there's a good person behind it. But it is relatively hard to really highlight what is the special side of the business, right?
I agree. I think that being able to be exposed to as many franchisors that I've been in the last 24 years, I've realized there's a couple key ingredients, and that would be obviously the people and how they represent themselves and what kind of questions are answered. Because oftentimes, even with an item 19, it can be very vague and you don't know, and their validation may not be as strong. And again, I bring up culture because I think that's critical, and just seeing yourself day to day. So oftentimes people pick a franchise because they think it's going to work with them, what they've done, what they're interested in. But essentially what you do day to day is what you're doing for the rest of that term of your agreement and however long you decide to stick with it. So I think that piece often is missed, and I need to investigate that as a franchise candidate. What are you doing day to day, and are you going to enjoy it? Is it something that will really bring you to a place of that new season where you do feel fulfilled? Because it's not worth it if you're not just fulfilled, not just financially, but also just from your day-to-day experience.
Give anybody that's watching this, give a sense of what is the Glass Guru? What is the business opportunity there? What do you like about it?
Well, what I love about it is it's a service brand, but there isn't a lot of competition, and it's a need, and it's recession resistant, and the margins are excellent. It has years and years of just consistent growth. And we have around 100 franchise units, and we're positioned to just grow to quite a few hundred more. And that's where we're at. But what I like about it is it had all of the check boxes that I love. And that would be good franchisor support, validation. It was in a place where you can invest around $200,000 and potentially make double, if not triple or more than that in a fairly short period of time. It takes 6 to 8 weeks from the time you sign on to open, which is rare. And we would hope that our franchisees break even fairly quickly. That's not an earnings claim by any means, but we hope that they would break even in about 3 to 6 months, which is what our working capital says. So all in all, I feel like if you have the skill set, which is just oftentimes just desirability, but also the fact that you oftentimes, if you're leaving a corporate role, are able to build teams, and that's what it's about. So if you can build multiple teams, you are going to definitely increase your revenue. And based on our item 19, I can give you some of those numbers here in a few minutes before we get too far into it.
So is there a consistency on who you're looking for as a franchisee, or does it end up just being someone that's in a career transition and looking to go into business for themselves?
I think it's all of the above, but oftentimes our candidates are coming out of a corporate role, and they're able to take their white collar skills and easily apply it to a blue collar business. And I think oftentimes when people think of a service business and they're coming out, they're a director of sales, and now they're thinking, oh, am I going to, buy into a glass screw, and how am I going to do that when I've been selling tech or whatever it may be that they're involved in? And it's actually an easy transition as long as they can transfer that skill set of building teams, connecting with culture, rallying around their few employees. I mean, it's just 3 employees to start. They can work in the business if they want, and then just scale those teams accordingly.
You mentioned sharing more on the item 19. What else do you want a candidate to know about it?
In our item 19, we have 3 different numbers based on how our breakup is. And I'd say that we have a group of franchisees that do around 600 to 750,000. And there's another group that does about $1 million, and another group that does closer to about $2 million. And that is nicely associated with the number of teams. So if you have one team, we're hoping you do a gross revenue amount of around 600 plus. About $1 million, it would be 2 teams. About $3 million, it would be closer, $2 million, it would be closer to 3 teams. So I like that because that sets a nice path forward. And the other piece I absolutely love about this brand, which has been a struggle for a lot of franchisors and franchisees out there, is the marketing. So the Glass Screw corporately will help with marketing, and oftentimes it's about 70 to 80% of their leads are generated through corporate, and the rest is through networking from the franchisee, which is, I think, amazing. It doesn't go to some national call center. It goes directly to their phone in their smaller flex space, and it usually just takes about a day or 2. As soon as they open, their phone is ringing. So I love that, because the anxiety around, now I have to be a marketer. I've never even marketed. Marketing changes almost every day as we know it. So to be able to come in and have those processes outlined, the support systems outlined, but the biggest thing, the marketing, where your phone's ringing the first day and the rest of it is just networking and building relationships, I think is quite extraordinary.
Well, it's huge, because I think the biggest obstacle for a new franchisee is they're thrown in and automatically they have to be an expert in marketing and sales and HR and supply chain management and accounting. Like, that's very heavy for someone that's not the crazy entrepreneur. And so the more support that a franchisor can give, one, it shows the value of why you pay a royalty, which I think royalty needs to be rebranded as like support mechanisms, or a line item that just says like, this is staffing support for your business. But that's awesome that you put that in place. In closing, if there's anyone watching this, is there anything else you want them to know about the business opportunity?
I personally think, from vetting hundreds of franchisors, this is probably one of the best concepts I've ever represented. And I think if they're looking for something within a smaller range of around 200,000 that they're able to get involved with, that isn't going away, that is just tried and true. The original founders are part of that, of the business still, and are very involved. In fact, 80% of the executive team own franchises themselves in the Glass Screw, which is everything. So their hands are in it. I think it's just, again, one of the better ones. And I'm very fortunate and grateful to be able to represent it and connect with the people that are interested. So thank you for having me on and making this happen.
I love it. Look, I love franchisee to franchisor stories. I think that gives you a tremendous insight, and obviously you shared the cultural side and the business side, where the two of those start to mirror each other is when you have a great business in front of you. So Nesa, thank you so much for sharing some of your story with us today.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
Love it. For Nesa, I'm Nick. This was another episode of Meet the Franchise. Take